Hi, everybody. Welcome back to our next episode of Real Estate Stuff Explained. And I wanted to talk about encumbrances. So, most people have heard the term lien or easement or mutual drive or cloud on title or right of way. These are all examples of encumbrances. And an encumbrance basically is a claim to the property by someone other than the title holder. So, let's talk some examples. I mentioned an easement or a right of way. A mutual drive is a perfect example of that. You have to give your neighbor, or your neighbor has to give you, a right over their property to access your property. The utility companies as well. There's an easement for utility services. So your cable, your water, your phone, your electricity, sometimes it's below the ground, sometimes it's above the ground. They have the right to access your property. You can't stop them. A drainage ditch also. I may have mentioned that some of these encumbrances are pretty benign, and sometimes they really do mean something. It could be a little bit detrimental. So if you have a drainage ditch at the back of your property or a buried sewer or something like that, it may prevent you putting in a pool. An encroachment is another example of an encumbrance. So sometimes the fence goes over the property line a little bit, one way or the next. Again, it could be detrimental or not. Most of the times it's pretty minor, but depends if you own the property and it bothers you, then yeah, it's something. And eaves troughs as well. Sometimes the eaves troughs, they overlap in the air and they're on your side of the property technically, or you're on theirs. Again, fairly benign. Here's a big one. It's called a notice of security interest. And this is becoming a little bit more popular now because it's expensive to buy a new furnace and buy a new air conditioner, so people are renting them. And what can happen is when you sell your property, what they do, the companies that you rent them from, they put I guess I'll call it a lien on your property. I don't know if that's the correct word. But what they'll do is that when you sell your property, you either have to get the buyer to assume that rental, and if not, they may ask you, or they will ask you, to pay it all out. And I've seen it happen before, where people have had to pay $10,000 or $15,000 just to buy out that equipment that might have cost $5,000 or $6,000. Anyhow, those are some examples. I love doing these videos. Like, share, and we'll talk soon.